Welcome back to the theater, pal. You're from the neighborhood Master Chaos, back with you once again tonight. Tonight we're talking about a film that's maybe not the bloodiest, the killingest, not the boobiest, but it certainly is the funnest installment in the long-running franchise. Let me just open my Camp Crystal Lake book here, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Talking about, of course, Jason Lives, Friday the 13th, Part 6, written and directed by Tom McLaughlin. I think universally Part 6 is beloved by every Jason fan. It is not only a non-stop action thrill ride, but it's funny, it's fun, and the kills are quite inventive. Briefly about the plot, we meet up with Tommy Jarvis now, probably in his mid-20s, and he's escaped from an institution, at least that's what we assume, with his pal Horseshack, and they've gone to a cemetery, very reminiscent of old Universal monster movies. They've gone to this old decrepit cemetery to dig up Jason, to make sure he's dead, even though he's obviously dead, but to really kill him. And I guess his plan is to stab the corpse and set it on fire just to double check that Jason is dead, which he was, until Tommy messed it up for everybody. A bolt of lightning strikes Jason and he comes to life, as the title tells us, and this time it's no more Mr. Nice Guy. Not that he ever was, but I think he's extra crazy in this one, probably because now he's a supernatural zombie monster killer slasher dude, so he can pretty much do anything, and he kind of does. Nobody in town will believe Tommy. They think he's nuts. They think that, of course, he's the killer and Jason is not back from the grave. But they, of course, are sorely mistaken, and they will pay with their lives. And luckily, Tommy teams up with the sheriff's daughter, Megan. She helps him sort of bring it all around in the third act and wrap it up in a nice little bow. Or in this case, a nice pair of chains and a heavy rock. Right off the bat, I'm going to say that Part 6 and Part 3 are my favorites in the entire franchise. I think even Part 6 was the first one I ever watched, in terms of Jason movies. So maybe that's why, it means a lot to me, but at the same time, it's also a damn solid movie on every level. Great, witty, savvy writing, amazing editing, great directing, really inventive kills, and just a powerful and exceptionally well-made Jason. Jason Lives brings us 18 dead bodies. 18 dead bodies, certainly, not the highest. Of course, that was topped by Part 5, but it is a very healthy count. And the best part is that it's sort of a non-stop kill count kind of a thing. There's usually, whenever we see Jason, he's killing somebody. It's not like, an hour, establishing these campers and these teens who we don't give a crap about, and then they're going to eventually get slaughtered. It's non-stop random people, usually couples, getting slaughtered by Jason. So that 18 is very robust in terms of action on screen. Unfortunately, we have 0 nude scenes in this one. This is the only one of the franchise, if I'm not mistaken, that has no nudity in it. I'm not sure if that was a decision from the studio or the director. Honestly, it's not necessary in these films. It's just kind of added, icing on the cake kind of thing. But there is one weird lovemaking scene, which involves Darcy DeMoss, who was in the Vice Academy movies. I think she was in Part 2? Or maybe Part 3? I think she was in Part 3, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe Part 2. One of those. 2 or 3. Doesn't matter. Darcy DeMoss is in this, and she has a really bizarre lovemaking sequence. You don't see any skin, but you do see a lot of bumping and grinding. So at least there's that. Fave Kill here was very hard to pinpoint, but I'm going to go with Sheriff Garris folded in half. Pretty amazing. Comes out of left field. You don't really expect it to go in that direction, and certainly he can't normally go in that direction, but they find a way to do it, and then behind the scenes they talk about how they shot it. Pretty great. I do have 2 honorable mentions. Number 1, Horseshack getting his heart literally punched out of his body. That's the first kill in the film. Really great way to start off the movie. It gives you an idea of, the tone and the feel of the movie, and this is just going to be a fun, ride. Second favorite is the 3-person decapitation, which happens during the paintball sequence. We don't really get to see it. Apparently, in the behind the scenes, they talk about how they shot a whole ingenious contraption to make it look as realistic as possible, and then the MPAA cut it down to what you see in the movie. But still, concept alone is really great. I think if we had seen it, I think it definitely would have been number one. But Sheriff Bent in Half is my fave kill. Our final girl this time is Megan, one of the camp counselors, who just so happens to be Sheriff Garris's daughter. She has sort of developed a crush on Tommy and is sort of his aide in all the proceedings. However, she's not much of a final girl in terms of her having to fight Jason off or anything like that. As a matter of fact, she really only has one brief interaction with Jason when she's running back to the cabin to save the kids, and Jason bursts out of a door or a window or something to get her. But then Tommy distracts him, and then he goes off to kill Tommy. So not necessarily a final girl by the definition of the series, where she has to battle Jason alone. But, she is the final girl. So by default, she is a final girl. However, our real final girl here is Tommy. Weird moment of the movie goes to the fourth wall break that the Gravedigger does after he finds the Jason grave dug up. He's reburying it, and he turns to the camera and he says, "Some people have a sixth sense of humor," something like that. Something about, some people get excited about the weirdest things. Basically sort of a wink and a nod to the audience who has come to watch people get slaughtered. Fave line goes to random camper kid who is huddling under his bed. He turns to his friend and he says, "So, what were you going to be when you grew up?" Amazing. So good. So friggin' funny. I mean, that is just a great line, and almost exactly what a kid would say under those circumstances, who's just trying to not panic. So what were you going to be when you grew up? I love it. It's such a brilliant line, and it's just sort of indicative of the great writing that Tom McLaughlin brought to the series with this installment. And I'm sad he didn't continue with the other ones. I really wish that we would have seen a little bit more of his style of filmmaking and writing in the franchise going forward. Unfortunately, we don't, but I love that line. As a matter of fact, I love this movie so freaking much. I'm going to give it 5 stars. That's right, 5 stars. I've only given 5 stars once before, and that was at part 3. This one highly deserves 5 stars because it is so freaking fun. Non-stop fun. Great kills, great characters, very unique dialogue that comes out of them, which, is a testament to the amazing writing. Really well shot, really well choreographed kills. It's so good. It's like the first Jason movie, I think, that even, beyond part 3, that really understood the franchise, really understood the character of Jason, really understood what we wanted as fans. It's a perfect Jason movie, in my opinion. I love this movie so much. However, there are a couple of nagging questions that it leaves me with. Number 1, apparently Crystal Lake was renamed Forest Green. Can you do that? I don't think you can really do that. First of all, I thought we were in Hope, New Jersey, as established by part 1. Crystal Lake was just the name of the lake, and that's why it's called Camp Crystal Lake, because it's at the fucking lake. You can't rename. I didn't realize the town was called Crystal Lake. I guess you could do that, like Big Bear Lake, but why would you rename a whole town just because there's one crazy guy who killed a whole bunch of people? Number 2, part 5 established that Jason was cremated, but here he is apparently not. He is tucked away in a grave, being eaten by worms and maggots and whatever the hell else was in there. So I guess that mayor was wrong, or they forgot, or they didn't watch part 5, or they didn't give a shit. Number 3, I know this is sort of a big point of contention with a lot of fans, but why is Jason dressed like a gardener? He's got gardening gloves on, he's got like a nice pair of clean pants, he's got a nice little button-down shirt. I'm guessing it's because they didn't want to do a full Swamp Thing kind of zombie makeup on the whole body part, and then they just sort of put him in a gardening outfit. Now, we could speculate that, he killed somebody off camera that we didn't see, a gardener who was wearing the same thing, and this gardener had a nice pair of gardening gloves and some, nice new pants, and there was apparently some pretty, clean boots, and a nice, button-down shirt, and also a utility belt full of kill weapons that Jason could conveniently use In terms of series lore, number one, there apparently is a Cunningham Road in Crystal Lake, or I take that back, Forest Green. Of course, this is a nice callback to Sean Cunningham, the director of Part 1, but it's never been established before, so right now in this one they established there's a Cunningham Road near Crystal Lake. Number two, it's not stated specifically, but I'm going to guess that Tommy did not kill Pam at the end of Part 5. It seems like maybe he changed his mind, or maybe it was another dream sequence. I don't know, but it feels like he's been institutionalized his whole life. If he had killed Pam, I think the sheriff would have known that. The sheriff would have said, I mean, the sheriff's always like, oh, this kid's dangerous. I know, I know who you are, but it's mostly like, oh, wasn't your mother and friends killed by Jason? Not, oh, you're that kid who killed that whatever special ed teacher, whoever she was, whatever Pam was. So I'm gonna assume that Pam did not die, and Tommy did not, adopt the mantle of Jason for any length of time. Happy birthday, little guy! We find out in this movie that it takes place on Friday the 13th. It is the first time it's actually taken place on Friday the 13th since Part 1. And this just happens to be the Friday the 13th that coincides with his birthday. I guess it came around again, even though the odds of that happening are astronomical. It doesn't matter because the lightning bolt resurrected a person and turned him into a unstoppable zombie behemoth. Honestly, my friend, I had a big smile on my face the whole freaking time, and that's how it should be with the Jason movie. I loved all the elements. I love the Alice Cooper song. I know a lot of people have issue with it. The lyrics are a little goofy, but I don't know. I just love that they included that in this movie, and it has a good beat, and you can bop to it. I love it. I love the Alice song. Also, the movie in general is just full of energy. It's got a propulsive plot. It's got big epic stunts like the Winnebago crash, which is something that the series has never done and probably hasn't done since. I don't remember there being any car crashes after the Winnebago. I may be wrong, but we'll be rewatching them and we'll find out. Also, as a James Bond fan, I got a big kick out of that 007 opening after he tears Horseshack's heart out. That is amazing. How fun is that? God, this movie works on every level. Let's talk features. This one boasts about 3 featurettes. First up, there is, of course, the continuing saga of the Lost Tales from Camp Blood. It's about 7 minutes on this one. If you've been watching it, go ahead and tune in. I haven't been keeping up with them, but it's about 7 minutes if you want to see the next installment. Also, there is the Crystal Lake Massacre Revisited, pseudo true crime documentary, and this one is a little bit over 9 minutes. The 2 best features on here are, number 1, the Jason Lives doc. It's just under 13 minutes, and it features Tom McLaughlin and some of the cast sort of reliving the film. Tom McLaughlin has a lot of things to say about the making of the film, how he went to Frank Mancuso Jr., the producer, and said, can I make it funny? And he was down for that. And, sort of the process and the whole thought process, basically, in the making of the film is really intricate. You can tell he really cared, and he wanted to do something different, something unique and engaging, and I think he succeeded. The next most interesting featurette on here is called Jason's Father, or something like that. Basically, Tom McLaughlin provides a breakdown, storyboard-wise, because they never shot it, of his original ending, which introduced Jason's dad. Really interesting stuff. I don't know what that would have meant to the franchise to introduce the dad late in the game, but I feel he probably had a game plan if he came back for Part 7. Unfortunately, he didn't, and the Jason's Father storyline, spin-off, whatever you want to call it, was sort of nixed. But it's interesting to see it in storyboard fashion. You also get a ton of deleted scenes here. Slashed scenes is basically just about 6 minutes of footage. It's very dark. It's very rough. Keep in mind, it comes from a work print, so it doesn't look great. It's a little scratchy. It's a little, it's got the, the little tape fuzz on it. So keep that in mind. But you do get to see a little bit more of the gorier kills. It's dark, but you can sort of make out a little bit more of the gore and the intensity that they were going for before the MPAA got their grubby little hands all over it. This is a masterpiece, and this is a Jason movie that I will revisit often. If I would pick anything out of the set to watch, and I'm feeling in the mood for a Jason movie, it's going to be Jason Lives. 5 stars. I almost want to give it 6 stars. It's the highest recommend in the franchise, and to me, probably the second most essential film. If you're gonna watch any Jason movies, you know, start with part 3, then go to part 6, and you're gonna have a great time. This one to me feels like the last true Camp Crystal Lake movie. Well, that'll do, Bugaboo. I've got to douse the campfire before the screen catches fire here. So I'm going to bid you adieu. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for joining me, Zombie Jason. I hope you enjoyed this look at Jason Lives, and I hope the video has found you happy, healthy, and well. My friend, please come back for part 7, The New Blood. And until we meet again, please remember that I am your friendly neighborhood Master Chaos, and you have been entertained.